Let you go.
Hey, this is Wiki Spursy, Mike and Steve. Yep, that's right. You heard me correct. No D tonight. So if you came here expecting to get some D, you're out of luck tonight, unfortunately. It's just the two of us, but we'll try to do him proud. Do him proud. A good episode in his name. Mike, good to see you. How you doing?
I'm not bad. I'm not bad. Over this weekend, I got sick and tired of looking at the yellow fucking walls in this room. Um, so my wife and I went shopping and at the old Home Depot, and I bought some blue paint uh and some white paint, and we went hog wild on this room. So we started the whole painting and remodeling project down in the podcast layer. Next move is to get the this old 1990s style brown trim painted white, and get some flooring down, and we'll be good to go. I mean, maybe we should probably put heat in this room at some point, but it's really comfortable down here in the summertime. So
That makes
who
sense.
knows? Who knows? Every once in a while, I have to, in the wintertime, I have to run like a space heater. So, but that's fine. Other than that, family's good. Life is good. We had a couple of decent matches to watch over the past week, which we'll talk about. But how are you doing? It sounds like you're a little bit nasally.
Yeah, sinus infection. It just
Woohoo!
won't go away. And it's awful because I often can't really hear my own voice, right? Like it's just one of those things you get used to, and it's like, yeah, it's whatever. I can hear myself, and I know I sound like shit. Um, but other than that, going on, it's funny you mentioned space heaters because I've got one going behind me right now. Not because I am unhappy with the temperature in my office, but because I have tried to brew a batch of kombucha and it needs to be temperature controlled. So,
Ah, so what's it gonna be, like 70?
yeah, ideally, it has to be like between 72 and 76.
Holy cow! Really? Yeah.
I mean, it can be lower, but it just takes longer to ferment at that point.
Right. Do you have
Um,
like the whole? You have like the whole blob and everything that?
yeah, floating
Yeah.
on the
No.
top of that thing. I've
Yeah.
got a
Yeah.
gallon jar it's in. But literally, like one day of having this in my office and trying to work, and I was like, no, fuck this. They sell like a custom made like warming blanket that you can wrap around those gallon jars. I was like, I'm just fuck it. It's $30. I'm spending the money because I cannot deal with a what is it in here? 72-degree room. Like we keep
Yeah.
our house at 65 and that's comfortable. This is
That's
just
that's
not.
like museum temperature, 65.
It's cozy. I can be in my sweats and not have to worry about it. But in here, like the temperature difference is so stark, especially when it's as cold as it has been over the last few days. It's very noticeable.
I've brewed beer in the past too, and like I know all those fun little things that they have. Um, are you doing a hard kombucha, or are you just like
No, just a normal one, just to
this
see
another
how
one?
it's like.
So I did
Because
I did a couple of batches of kombucha, and it really fucked up my gut, man. I gotta tell you.
really,
Oh man, I was a mess for like weeks.
it's one of those
Weeks.
things where I bought a bottle at the store because I was just in the zone for it. And when you're spending 350 on a drink, it's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just it's tea, damn it. Like I'll make the goddamn thing myself and just stick it to big kombucha out there trying to overcharge you for bullshit.
So you had to like buy the whole, you had to buy the blob, or did you have
Yeah,
somebody
I
give
had
it
to
to you?
buy I had a friend who was going to give me some, but she's up in Toronto, and I don't think it would survive that trip. So,
Got you, got you. And is it the last question? Is it fruited?
not right now. though. This is just straight
Straight
oolong,
like
I think
black
is what I went with. Yeah.
oolong? Okay, so not black tea. Okay. I used black tea in mine. It's absurd the amount of fucking sugar you got to use.
Yeah, literally a cup per gallon. That's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah, it is insane.
I felt
Um,
kind of wrong pouring all that in there.
It's like Kool-Aid when you're a kid, right?
It's exactly it. Kombucha is just adult
Like,
Kool-Aid at this point.
with
Yeah,
the
so
witch's
hopefully it
brew.
comes out. We'll
Yeah,
see.
I,
We'll
I
see.
I bet it will. I bet it will. You know, it's tasty. Kombucha's tasty. It just messes with my gut. It's not great for me. It's a probiotic, but
Yeah. And I'm,
for some reason, it just
antibiotic, so
there you go. There you go. Hey, we had a couple of football matches
we
this
did.
this past week. You want to get us started?
Yeah, I want to get us started by just having a laugh at Neil Maupay, the fucking biggest douchebag that I've seen play over these last two games. I mean, for somebody who is just not that great, he has quite a fucking ego on him. To score that goal and do the dart celebration, it's like, bro, you first off, you scored too early. Second, like, do you really have beef with James fucking Madison of all people? Like, I don't. Is there history there? I don't get it.
No, there's
Um,
not really history, but like from what I've been reading and what I've heard, there's like Thomas Frank has this thing where his teams, because he's always been with these teams that never seem to be able to spend the amount of money to be able to keep up. So his teams they always play that kind of rile up the other team type of a game. And it gets guys off their game. It got Spurs off their game a little bit.
yeah, it did, and that was kind of interesting to see. But the reason I want to laugh at fucking Mopay here is because he scored first again today versus City, and Phil Foden took it personally and got a hat trick to once again they've conceded 3 goals in back-to-back games. So it's funny to me that this egotistical shit player keeps getting these goals and then their team just fucking collapses and they can't even do anything with it.
Mope does have like 5 goals in 6 games though. So I mean, I'll give him that. He does score. He does.
Have they won any of those 6 games though?
No, they don't. They haven't won because they're Brentford. Um,
Yeah, and there it is.
and there it is. The
No,
the
but
the
I mean, you're spot on, right? Like it did rile us up for a bit. And it was kind of, honestly, I love Ange Ball. I for any of the criticisms that I have with how the squad plays, it's interesting. Like I don't really blame him for it. Like there's the you can see the tactics trying to work. It's just the personnel aren't pulling it off. And I think it's quite apparent that that's happening. Like, where did we lose the battle over the last couple of games? Midfield. Bentancur wasn't at his strongest. Madison, he can only do so much as just one person. And then this, Skip is not really cutting it for what we need. And then Hoybier comes in and he's not really cutting it for what we need. And so there's a path to an upgrade there. Sticking with the Brentford match in particular, because I was about to go off on Sar. But sticking with Brentford, it's we got riled up. I'm a little annoyed at the officiating again, just because that challenge on Vicario, I've seen that given literally every other game that I have watched except for this Spurs Brentford match. Like I feel, they even made a comment on the broadcast, goalkeepers are a protected species or whatever. And yeah, it's true. And it can be frustrating where like the slightest touch on a goalkeeper has a goal called back. But like the dude wasn't making any attempt to play the ball. He was literally leaning his body in. That to me was textbook impeding the goalkeeper, and it wasn't called. And I swear, I would bet that if it was Arsenal, if it was United, if it was fucking Man City, that call goes in favor of the goalkeeper 100% of the time,
and you saw it
without a
happen,
doubt.
and you saw it happen again in the Everton match. I mean, obviously it's working, right? It happened a couple of times in the Man U game where you had guys like kind of backing themselves in. Happened in the Man City game for the goal. that sunk us. It happened in Brentford, and it happened in with the Everton match. Now, I mean, you got to think at some point this has got to be recognized, and it's an issue. Um,
For sure, with Vicario and the defensive set piecing.
I honestly I want to give the benefit of the doubt to Vicario, but I if in the way that I'm seeing it and the way that I'm looking at it, he's not doing anything to change it. I understand that he likes to have maybe the open path in front of him to run and catch the ball. Um, if he has to. Um, but they've obviously the other teams have obviously identified a weakness, right? If he's not, and his weakness is if he's not allowed to run out and catch that ball, then they're going to have opportunities to score in those set pieces. Impeding the goalkeeper. Um, yeah, maybe not. The only thing that's going to stop this is if he fucking finds a way to either alert the referees to it, which means he has to make a challenge at it where to a point where it actually looks like a foul. Maybe he has to pull off a little bit of the dark arts, or or he has to actually foul somebody in the box for it to be recognized. I mean, but at this point, for me, this is Vicario's issue, and it's an issue with the coaching of the defensive set pieces because there's nothing that's being done. He sets up his box. We need somebody
Yeah.
we're gonna need somebody at the near post. Like otherwise, you're gonna have you every single. I don't care who you are. Every single Premier League team has a guy on their team who specializes in whipping that ball into the 6 yard box. And they're just going to keep doing it to us over and over and over again until we either find a way to stop it or find a way to get those those fouls called when I'm not sure that they're fouls, but
The thing that annoys me about it is mostly the inconsistency. Like I said, 10 times out of 10, if that's Arsenal or if that's City, if that's United, Liverpool, it gets called in favor of the keeper, right? It's Spurs that it goes against, it's bottom table teams that it goes against. It's just the inconsistency is there. And that, frankly, it applies across everything. Because wasn't Van de Ven fouled in the box, clear hug from behind, dragged down, no penalty called. And
mm-hmm.
that one was even more obvious because even the fucking biased ass commentary was like, "Oh yeah, that's a penalty," and then VAR fucking does nothing about it.
Nothing.
Um, I it's getting to the point where I wish the ref on the field would make the call and let VAR overturn the call instead of waiting for VAR to make the decision.
And that's been the problem this year a lot of the time. Outside of the what happened with the Liverpool match, I mean, and you're seeing it a lot. You're
If it's
you're allowing offsides to go. You're allowing fouls to go. I mean, the the play to advantage has been I would say outrageous this year. And it's like let VAR make the call instead of the guy in the field. Like the guy in the field has enough to do already. But
because
the
the problem
the
for me is
problem is
that
yeah, it's laziness.
it is lazy. They look at some of these, 50-50 decisions or even, 60-40, 70-30, and they think, they're if I call it, it could get overturned. So let's just let VAR call it. And in a lot of those instances, if they make the decision on the field, there's not enough for VAR to say, well, there's nothing to overturn it. It's not a clear and obvious error, right? So they're stuck in this place where like a lot of these split decisions end up going kind of against the team that rightfully, in my opinion, deserves it 80% of the time. It just sucks. The biggest issue that I have with this VAR thing, though, of all the issues that are going on with VAR, has to be the offsides bullshit. If it's that fucking obvious that it's offsides, that literally us in a pub halfway around the world can look at it in real time and go, he's offsides. and the linesman is clearly there and knows it's offsides and can put his flag up fucking 45 seconds later, just fucking put your flag up, dude. It's obvious. You don't need to play advantage and let VAR say whether or not it's offside. You can see it with your fucking eyes.
Right. Yeah.
That is egregious to me.
That is egregious. Let's get into some of these, and I think we can kind of lump both of these games in together because some of our deficiencies are starting to show through, and at we're getting players back from AFCON, we're getting players back from injury, and everybody needs a little time to bed in. Then you have the guys who have been out there playing through all of it, right? Um, we have to at some point stop making excuses, right?
Absolutely.
So we said, oh, we've got nine nailed on starters injured. We've got 11 guys out. We've got, you know, six guys injured now, and we have three guys at AFCON and the Asia Cup. You know, when are the excuses going to end? They and I know that it's kind of a bleak outlook. We're in the middle of a rebuild, or it's a project, blah 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 blah. We know all this stuff, but we have to at some point, as fans, start thinking there might actually be a real issue here. And the real issue to me is the fact that we have a lot of talented players who are out there and can do the job, who in the past couple of seasons weren't fit enough to play this type of system that they're now finding themselves in. And even if you even look at guys like Udogi, played in Italy, he's starting to show some signs of wear and tear and being tired. Decky, who consistently is one of the top five runners in the league every single year that he's been here. Like, these guys are being worn out, and it leads to mistakes, and it leads to what some people are saying is laziness. You know, Decky the other day in the Everton match, even when he got in there, I know, like, he didn't start. Brennan Johnson, deservedly so, got his goal, deserved the start, right? Decky needs some time off, and maybe he needs like a week or two to recover where he's just kind of sitting on the bench and doing whatever. But the guy is wiped out, man. Then you have Sar coming back. He doesn't have enough time to kind of bed back in. He's got to be out there right away because of the deficiencies of players like Skip and Hobby.
Yep,
Like,
absolutely.
like those guys can't, like Hoiberg. I think if we had a Basuma out there, if we had a fully functioning Bentancur, also doesn't look right to me. Like, Bentancur is like at a stage where Sonny was last year. Like, he's still injured, dude. I
Oh,
still think he's
absolutely.
injured, and he's not the same player. If we had a fully functioning Basuma or a Bentancur back there who could do the work, Decky we wouldn't have to rely on Hobby to be playing. Hobby would be the guy that he was in the beginning of the season, where he was actually pretty successful
Comes
coming
in for
in,
like the last 10, 15 minutes and
yeah,
just
and,
mops
and
up. Yeah.
shores everything up. But right now, we find ourselves scoring early because we come out, we have a lot of energy, we're scoring early, we're getting on the board, and then kind of sitting back and playing defense. And I don't think that's the way to go. Destiny is his past two games, I think, were abysmal.
Yeah,
Abysmal.
he's been pretty rough. And I think you're spot on. There's just, who do you stick there, right? Like
It's tired.
Davies,
Yeah,
but
they're
you know,
tired.
yeah, it's exactly it. And it just highlights the lack of depth, right? Especially with players that, are coming back from injury, they're coming back from international bullshit. Um, but yeah, it's like I'm saying at the beginning, right? I don't see it as a tactical issue because I do believe that the way Ange has it set up is super effective. It's fun to watch and it produces the goals. It's got the coverage defensively, except that people are burnt out, that the players, especially in that midfield area, are just incapable of really doing exactly what we need to succeed. when you've got James Madison coming back from injury and he doesn't have any time to really bed in and he's expected to like throw the team on his shoulders and do it all, it just wasn't effective. It wasn't really working. We've got, and then you've got Werner, who I thought has been really bright since coming in, but he hasn't played in a while. He's tired himself. He
Yeah.
doesn't have the
And he
endurance.
showed it too. I mean, he had a couple of hockey assists in the Everton match, which was great. Um, and then but it unfortunately makes the guys who are fit and who are in there and can make the adjustments and um can be out there and play a full 90 minutes. Those guys like Richarlison, like Mickey Van de Ven, like Christian Romero, Pedro Porro, those guys aren't making mistakes because they are fit, they are healthy. But man, it's just Richarlison is relentless on his pressing. He's relentless. He comes back and plays defense. He pops up in the midfield. He does what needs to be done for this club, and he's kind of right now making people start to forget a certain number 10 that we had. Let's talk about those goals, Steve, because man, both of those were
In
very
the Everton match.
yeah, very Kane-esque.
They were so. Was it you who shared that video in our WhatsApp? The 1-2 touch
No,
analysis.
no, that was not me, but I think it might have been Nick.
Nicky Wiggs. It's too bad he couldn't show up and take credit. So there was a video for our listeners out there that we were watching a little bit over the weekend that basically talked about this concept where these strikers are getting 1-2 touch and then they're firing off at goal. And how that tends to be a bit more effective. And Richarlison is like league leading at 1-2 touch and then shoot. And both of those goals, I noticed after watching the Everton match, they were one touch goals. He just shot like absolutely fucking nothing. He's
Yeah,
just
the
taking
first
his
one was
shot,
like
letting it
on
rip.
full volley, right? Was that
Yeah,
yeah, full volley, man.
but
That's some wild shit. I thought the ball came like off the ground.
that's what I want the team to be doing more of. When we're at our worst attacking, we're taking way too many touches, too many passes. We're slowing things down when we should just be, speeding things up, if anything, to try to penetrate a defense. But we're just, four passes around the box. All right, let's bring it back to Romero, who can cycle it out to the opposite side, and then we'll take another four touches. And nothing ever comes from that. It's got to be quick and decisive. But unfortunately, we're just sort of out of sorts, especially in that midfield link up where we cannot get those 1 and 2 touches. Because when we got them, Werner, Udogi, Richarlison over the last couple of games, those goals, 1-2 touch goals, bam, 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 they're in.
Yeah.
It's You have to go at it with that speed. If you let the team settle, if you let them cover and close off those lanes, nothing's ever going to happen, especially if you're not whipping crosses into the box to try to, get that header in there, right? Like we
Yeah.
just don't have that capability.
Well, we don't right now. I think that in a few weeks, 8 to 12 weeks, whenever we get fucking Sun back from that god awful fucking Asia Cup tournament with the 322 countries in it.
Yeah, right.
Um, whenever we get Sun back from that, I think things are going to change a little bit.
Could he not have just let them get knocked out versus Australia? Like, did he have to score that superb free kick goal to send him through?
Yes, he did.
What a dick.
I know because that's what he does. That's what he does. Um,
But let's
the,
I do want to mention because yeah, it's great to have Son coming back and Werner I think is a great understudy to him. But the problem that I'm really having right now, some of the guys on the bench that we can bring in are not game changers. Brian Hill, nope, he's not. He's not it for me. And frankly, because I just to go on a little bit of a rant here, frankly, what I've seen from Jamie Donnelly in his brief appearances, his limited minutes, to me, he is doing more in a first team setting on the field to warrant a call over Brian Hill, who is like He gets pushed around. He's not really contributing much. Donnelly even getting that tactical yellow card against Brentford.
That was fucking brilliant, actually.
It really was. It
That
was
was
a
a sign. That was a
smart
sign of a
smart
very
play.
smart player. Yeah,
Brian
he's
Hill doesn't do that. He would bounce off the fucking player and lose possession, and all of a sudden we're a man out of play. To
Donnelly's
me,
got.
Hill is not doing enough to warrant a place. He's got to get loaned out or sold or something.
I think that Donnelly is more of a like for like with James Madison than any other player that we have. And I think he might even have some skills that James Madison doesn't have. I like I he's a bit bigger bodied. He may not be as quick to pass, but he can pick out those passes. He's got the ability to to play hold up when he needs to. He has the ability to come back and track back and play defense when he has to. I just can't understand for the life of me how he can't get in, and it has to be like that kind of that next man up thing that like it has to be like the Dragushin situation where this guy needs some minutes, but the only way he can get in is to come in and play backup to Skip or Hoiberg, in a position that he's not familiar with. And maybe that's throwing off the team because, Thomas Frank made the actual observation and actually said it on in his press conference after the match. He said, you know, and at one point they went to a back five, and I've never seen that out of Ange before. He admitted that like he's watched the tape and he's never seen that out of this Tottenham team. And Ange doesn't play a back five. And it's like we're at a point right now where again, we're tired, we're beat up. We're almost 2/3 through the season and well, actually just over half, but we're scoring early, but getting worn out and ending up on the back end just being like holding on for dear life. And that's no way to play, man. We watched that shit for the past 2.5 years. Oh, 3 years.
Absolutely.
And why do we want to go through that shit again? We don't
Absolutely.
want to go through that shit again. I don't want to sit there and watch us struggle to keep up,
I
just
will
to
say,
hold on to leads.
speaking about squad depth and impact players off the bench, I do like what I see out of Dragusin when he comes on. That dude is relentless. He's like Romero, and I do think that in time, when he's kind of settled into the league, settled into the rhythm, and maybe has learned a bit from Romero, some of these bulldozer esque type challenges maybe are timed a little bit better. But I do like the aggression. I do like the confidence that he's got. And then there's just one other guy who I've got some question marks around. And I'm curious to hear your take. And then I've got a question for you after that. Dane Scarlett. So thinking about Richarlison and his impact recently. He's been a phenomenal player for us. He's pressing, you've correctly identified he's getting back and defending, he's dropping into midfield, he's all over the place. He's at risk of burnout too at some point, right? And when you think of the striker option to get out there, we loaned Veliz to Sevilla, and we've got Dane Scarlett. And I do believe personally that the only reason that we did that is because Dane Scarlett cannot be loaned to another team. So we had to send Veliz out. But if all things considered, I would much rather have Veliz on the bench ahead of Scarlett because I think he has shown that he's got the strength and he's got the smarts to kind of be that understudy. Whereas I don't know that Dane has necessarily shown that over the last couple of games in a Spurs shirt. He certainly hasn't had the opportunity to do much on his loan spells. So it's
Oh,
just unfortunate to me that that's kind of who we've got in the wings for Richarlison if we need it.
yeah, I mean for me, man, you don't have a like for like with Richarlison. There's nobody like him, right? Dane Scarlett's been in and out of the first team at Tottenham. He's been on loans. So, some successful, some unsuccessful. Um, you can tell when he's out there now that he's put some weight on. He's more built. He looks less like a little boy than he used to. You
Yeah,
know, he doesn't look scared being out there. I mean,
it's
he's
just the
only been out there
confidence for
like a
me.
couple of times, right?
Yeah,
But like, um, I just wish we had been able to do more with Dane Scarlett, and he's still young. Um,
that's why I
you
would
know, and
rather
and
he
I
get the
I just
minutes
hope
now.
that we haven't ruined him, in the end. But I, Veliz for me is yeah, he's a guy that I think he'll do well on a loan.
Absolutely, he
Especially
will.
a team like Sevilla who plays the way they
Absolutely.
do. Like, yeah, so
I've got no problems with the Lees getting the minutes. The only problem that I have is I wish Dane would be the one to be loaned out so Veliz could come in and get the
right,
crucial
right.
experience in the league. But,
And I
Sevilla's, they're not pushovers. They're kind of, struggling right now, but there's a good team in there that can benefit from somebody like him picking up goals.
right. I just don't know that even Veliz is going to be the guy in the end.
Yeah.
I
I'm,
think now that we have Werner, we really have to start thinking about how that front line is going to rotate. You know, you're going to have Werner, Son, Richie, Decky, Johnson. Like you're going to have guys that are interchangeable, and when everybody is healthy and fit and back in the swing of things, it's going to be fun to watch again. It's there's no doubt about that. You know, we're not doing great things this year. I mean, we need to resign ourselves to that fact.
yeah.
I mean, we hear people going, "Oh, we're only 4 points off the top three, or top two. We're only 6 points off the top, top of the league." And it's like, yeah, but you have to look at what those teams in front of us are doing, and those teams in front of us right now. I mean, Aston Villa's kind of hit a little bit of a rocky patch, but they're still a good team. Manchester City, Liverpool right now is just hanging on to that spot as a placeholder for them right now.
Yeah.
Um, Liverpool got run over by a very good Arsenal team who this year has had their ups and downs. So, you know, I think that we have to expect a little bit less than I think a lot of Spurs fans are expecting. Sure, yeah, fine, get pissed off about the game the other day because that Everton match, it did feel like that draw felt more like a loss than anything.
Yeah. And
Because
I will say,
because like we were inches away, like Romero was inches away. If he got up one more inch in the air, like that ball is
yeah.
going over the top, right? I mean, or it's going off to the side. It's going out. Like stupid little things that piss you off like that. You sure get upset about that stuff, but it is still a process, and obviously,
Yeah.
trust the
And
process, but like,
And the players are getting pissed off too, which I like to see. Van de Ven just refusing to speak to anybody because he's so irritated and angry that they
yeah.
couldn't get the win.
I
Hey,
think
there's some
he
passion
worked his
there.
dick off that like he just does. I just don't want
I
him to
I
work so
missed
hard
him.
that he pops that hamstring again. I know that
Absolutely.
hamstrings
Absolutely.
are tough things.
Rapid fire, real quick. Werner, right now, do you pay the 15 mil?
Yes.
Perfect. I'm completely agreed. I think he's shown enough to warrant it, and that 15 million is fucking nothing for what will inevitably be a squad rotation option with Son. But the most important question, Mike, we are in February. Are we ready to get wet?
Oh yeah, so wet.
So wet. We can't give you the D, but we can still get wet.
Oh boy.
Hey Mike, what you drinking?
Hey, look at this. Um, I
No
have
more NA crap.
no more NA crap. I've been drinking straight up. Tonight I was drinking a fine Pilsner beer, Miller Lite. Um, but right now, Steve, what I'm drinking, and this is something the Discord that I'm part of for the Extra Inch posted some stuff about
You know, I
sours.
I must say, without Dave here, without the D, we could really use an extra inch tonight.
We're going to be getting an extra inch in a couple of weeks. I believe. I believe.
Ooh,
So yeah,
scandalous.
scandalous.
So they
um,
were talking about sours.
yeah. So obviously, like they were talking about in the beer thread, they were talking about such and such a sour, and such as I think it was Wendy actually who had had this one sour, and the discussion just came like what you know, I was just like, I just couldn't ever get into them, and I'm kind of late to the party now because now sours I feel like are going the route of the IPAs where like you went from having traditional sours, your Belgian sours and your lambics and the Flemish style or Flanders red ales, like those types of beers, beers that are fermented at high temperatures. Now they're like getting like crazy. So you're adding all these fruits and all these different adjuncts to them to to give them different tastes and give them, you know, and I guess I'm kind of late to the game because I was still hooked into that IPA world, and I just haven't like gotten into the sours. I saw this one today, and it kind of struck me as kind of funny, so I had to grab it. I was at the market in the beer cave, and it's Green Empire Brewing, whom I absolutely love. But if you remember correctly, I think the last beer we did from them was not great.
Yep, that's right. I
Um,
do.
this one, what struck me kind of funny is that this is nothing close to what anything that I ever do, which is join a run club. It's called Run Club. It's a fruited sour. It's got mango and passion fruit. So
Okay, okay. Interesting combo. I like
yeah.
it.
So for all the folks who thought I would go directly to an IPA after my
Fuck
dry
you.
January, fuck
You
you.
don't know me. So here's the thing,
You
because
can't put me in a box.
you see, the thing is, here's the thing. I really like sours, but what I'm finding, because you're right, like there's a lot more people who are doing these fruited sours, um, and the only real pet peeve I have is when they call it a fruited sour and it's not sour. Um, it's good. It's a nice, fruited beer, but it's not a sour. Like it, Hermit Thrush does a good fucking sour where your like face is puckered drinking that fucking thing. But like it,
That entire brew, that's their thing is sours.
yeah, they're fantastic. Highly recommend if you're ever in Brattleboro, Vermont. Hermit Thrush, great for these nice sour beers. But yeah, a lot of the up and coming ones, they're fruited. Yeah, they're tasty, sure, but they're not really. I wouldn't call them sours. I don't know what you would call them. But I don't know. I prefer mine to have more of that like ugh, like this really fucking hits you.
Like it puckers you and it like, yeah,
Yeah, like
hits
it's
you
got to
like
be a
right in
full
the back
fucking
of the
body
tongue.
experience. Yeah.
So but we did a beer when we had Ricky on. It wasn't a sour though. I think it was a mango IPA, and we discussed how I'm not a big fan of the smell of mangoes. Um, this one's not bad. Um, so straight off the top here, for anybody who is listening, actually anybody who is
Is anybody watching this? Oh, that looks
there's two people
okay.
watching this. This is great. Um,
Two. It's you and me, isn't it?
it could be us. That'd be fucking
Uh,
great. Um, so yeah, it's an okay looking beer. It's definitely it's kind of cloudy. You definitely can't see through it. It smells, it's got the mango kind of, yeah, it's got a lot of mango coming out of it. Passion fruit. It's got a nice soapy head. The thing that I noticed when I was pouring it, really fucking fizzy. But so I poured. This was the first part of it that I poured was in this glass, and it dissipated so quickly.
huh.
So there's a there's a lot of carbonation built up in those cans. I hope I like it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Looks like a sour, smells like a sour.
Does it taste
Well,
like
it
it's
smells like
sour?
fucking mangoes, but let's get after this.
Fair enough. Here he goes. I'm not seeing any puckering yet, folks. Which there's a
Yeah,
little
no,
pucker there.
it was there.
There we go. All right, all right.
Um,
He's
I think
thinking.
it's I think it's a good beer.
Oh, damn it! I can't.
Here's the problem: is it doesn't taste like a beer to me. It doesn't have like it doesn't have that kind of alcohol bite you get with a beer. What is the alcohol percentage on this? We used to read this shit off. It's six
Yeah,
percent. It doesn't drink like a 6%. It tastes almost like it's an overcarbonated mango soda.
interesting.
It does have that passion fruit taste. It's got the mangoes. It's just like overcarbonated. It tastes like a soda. And I don't
Weird.
know, like it's
And for
almost like you
six
can't even
percent too.
yeah, it's almost like you can't even tell there's alcohol in it.
For some people, that might be a very good thing.
Yeah, for some people if they want to get drunk.
Absolutely. This sounds like it's the beer for you. Um,
This might actually like not knowing sours that well. I guess I could do an IPA every week and we could get through this or any kind of a lager or a pilsner. Um, I would love to hear anybody's like take on what sour beers should be like because for me, I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan of this beer. It's got an odd taste to it.
I am on the fence with my score. I'm gonna stick with what I got.
Okay.
Damn it, I hit
Um,
enter.
no,
Don't look.
no.
Don't look. Don't look.
I can't stop. Um, I'm gonna go 3.0 on this one.
Oh,
Nice round
damn it.
number.
Fuck me.
I'm
I'll have you
sure.
know, I was stuck between 3.1 and 2.9. I should have just split the fucking difference.
Ugh. I don't want to say that it's a terrible beer because again, I'm not the biggest, probably the best judge of sour since I am new to the game. I just
Hey, if it's not for
there's
you, it's
something
not for
about it that
you.
just it's not hitting me
Yeah.
right, and that's fine. Um,
We'll just go to a lager or something next week.
yeah, I mean this doesn't even explain some of the stuff on the cans. Will explain it for you, like why it's called Run Club, but this has nothing on it. They must just be fans of running. Um,
Which should be a big red flag to me. I mean, if you're a fan of running, something wrong with you.
yeah, nobody likes to run. Who does that? Um,
Not in Dombele.
not in Domblin, that's for sure. He likes French fries. Um,
I like French fries too.
that was a
So,
joke. That was a joke because he's French.
all
Um, French fries.
right.
Um,
What about a song?
let's go with um, let's go with something stupid.
I could go with something stupid.
Because I want to believe that these are good beers. That this is a good beer. I want to believe. That's why I left it at a three. I didn't go below three because I don't know if it's a bad beer or not.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go believer. Imagine Dragons,
interesting.
and I know the song
Interesting.
has nothing to do with the way I just described it, but I it makes me yeah. It's a good song. It's a good beer. I'm sure it's a good beer
For somebody.
for someone, just not me.
Yeah, I feel like that just really defines Imagine Dragons. It's probably good for somebody, just not for me.
Yeah, like teenage girls. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, yeah.
just like that, I'm sure.
I'm just thinking because my daughter likes Imagine Dragons. I don't know. I'm sure that like teenage girls like Imagine Dragons.
There there
I brought her to an Imagine Dragons show when she for her 11th birthday, and it was fun, man. It was fun. We had a good time.
Yeah, it's those are one of those things where I'm starting to pick up on it. It's like, am I just out of touch now, or are the kids really just wrong?
I
I think
think
it's the
it's
kids who are wrong.
I think it's a little of both.
No, I refuse to believe that I am out of touch. I'm hip. I'm with it.
I knew you were gonna say that. I
This has
just did.
been this has been hey Mike. We had Runners Club from Green Mountain Brewing,
Green Empire Brewing.
Green Empire Brewing. Fuck me. And the song was Believer by Imagine Dragons,
There we go.
3.1. We'll get that in the notes or something. I don't know. I'm
It
sure
was a
Dave is dying to
3.0, not
know.
a 3.1. You
3.0.
guessed
Sorry, I
3.1.
was I did guess 3.1 and I was hoping I could take credit, but um
And you can't take it back either.
I can't. Nope, nope. So I guess we'll just move on from here and take a look ahead. Looks like we've got Brighton coming up real
Woohoo!
soon too. What do we think about Brighton?
Um, Brighton's gonna be so Brighton was real fucking pissed off after they got run by fucking Luton, right?
Yeah.
They got real fucking pissed off and they took out their anger on Crystal Palace. Um, Crystal Palace, who just like every other middling to low mid-table club, um, is pissed off at their owners, right? Uh, so their Crystal Palace is in really, really bad form right now. They've got guys that are out. They're another one of those teams, along with Newcastle and Spurs, who just like endured amazing amounts of injuries this year, right? Like 67-year-old Jordan Ayew was their best player. So Brighton came on and took well advantage of that. Now, this should be on the Spurs fucking revenge list. Like, let's
Abso-fucking-lutely.
let's come off and we're gonna cross that name off the list this week. Brighton, who have a coach that I used to like. I think he's a dickhead. Um, they got a lot of really good players that are very, very dangerous. João Pedro is dangerous. Evan Ferguson, Pascal Gross is one of the most exciting players I think in the league. So they have a lot of really good, exciting players. I think that, um, like I said, I think that Spurs are out for a little bit of revenge. We don't have to play at the MX. We're playing this one at home, right?
Yep.
So, um, this is a perfect time to take advantage of a team that thinks they're coming off a great win, that thinks they're back on the right track, that thinks that they're going to be moving up the table back to where they believe they should be. And I think this is the perfect opportunity for Spurs to come out, punch them in the mouth, and any hopes of a Brighton resurgence. Now that said, all that can change due to all the factors that we talked about. Um, in the review of the two matches we played this week, all of that can change. Um, Guys need to recover. Guys need rest. They need recovery time. Um, and it's going to be hard to run with this Brighton team. Brighton, like they just got Matoma back. He's fit again, and that guy can run the wheels right off the bus, right? So they're going to try and get out with us. They're going to run, and I got a feeling that one of the hardest things to do in all of sports is to beat a team twice because adjustments are made, tactics are changed, that kind of stuff. And it's even tougher when you have beat them at your home and you have to go to their place and try and beat them for a second time. I think that Brighton is going to be in for a big surprise, and I think Spurs actually win this one big.
You think so?
I think it's big.
Yeah, for me, I completely agree. I don't know if it's going to be a super big win, but I do think that this for me is the you know, put your money where your mouth is type game. When we lost to them at the end of December, I said, if we have James Madison in the team fit and ready to go, we win this game. James Madison is back. He's fit. we've got a solid week of rest between when we last played and when we kick off against Brighton. That's plenty of time to recover. That's plenty of time to, bed some of these other guys in. I think we're going to see a much more impactful midfield. If I had to guess, it's probably going to be Madison with Sar and Bentancur supporting, which seems like it would be a really solid option, especially if Bentancur can kind of shake off some of the cobwebs over this next week. We'll probably see Richarlison taking top spots, Werner out on the left, of course. I think we're going to see Decky on the right. That's my guess. And then, unchanged back line, unchanged goalie. And yeah, I do think that we're probably best positioned to get that win. Uh, the team is riled up. They've been leaking some goals. They've been, they let a win escape them in the dying minutes of a game. And this is a young team, right? They're hungry. There's fire in them. We can see that. We know that Ange isn't the type to just sit back and, invite pressure on. He's going to be telling these guys to get out there and kill the game, kill it as quickly as you can. If you want the rest, you better put the game to bed early on. So yeah, I do think it's going to be a Spurs win. I'm still a little nervous about it because Brighton can be a very high scoring team, but
Yeah, like I said, they're super high octane. They will run you right out of the stadium.
can they outrun Van de Ven?
I,
We have
you know,
Van de Ven back.
yeah, and just to speak on that a little bit, Van de Ven, I feel, has we've been getting a lot of shit lately because Spurs are like you said, leaking goals, and people don't watch Spurs on a weekly basis. You'll say to them, Van de Ven is probably the best center back in the league, and they'll laugh at you because look at all the goals we're giving up. Look at all the goals that we would look at all the more goals we'd be giving up if he weren't there.
Yep,
If it
absolutely.
were Ben Davis, if it were even if it was Dragoshin, like
His speed.
nobody's got the pace, nobody's got that the way that he slides into a tackle. He's got that big, long, sweeping leg that comes through. He catches the ball every time. He's very precise in his slide tackles too. Like
Yeah,
he's smart about it. And you would think that a guy that runs that fast, like with the as tall as he is, would be out of control when he comes into a tackle like that. Like it's
no,
not violent at all. It's almost like poetry in motion. Like slow it down, and it's so fucking beautiful to watch it. He's
absolutely.
so, in my
There were a
estimation,
couple of
he is the
times.
best center back in the league.
There were a couple of times in that match versus Everton where, and it's funny because you're absolutely right. His tackling it's calculated. He's not lunging into these things hoping that he'll get the ball. He's lunging in, no, he's going to get the ball.
Yeah,
But what impresses me the most is how he's capable of being in that shoulder to shoulder run alongside an attacker and then just kind of slide his body position so that he ends up pivoting between attacker and ball, and all of a sudden he's in control of the ball. And it's
yeah.
just so silky smooth the way that he just moves into that space directly in front of the attacker
And you
without
saw
committing a foul, without pushing. It's beautiful.
you saw Evan
Poetry
Tony
is
get
right.
frustrated a couple of times during the game. He is it's poetic. It's beautiful to watch.
Absolutely. So I think both of us are in alignment. We're looking at hopefully a Spurs win. You think it'll be big? I think
I
it'll be a
do.
win, but we'll see. We'll see. It should be a fun game nonetheless. Um,
I think Spurs themselves are pissed off. So I think
yes,
we come out hard and fast, man.
absolutely. Absolutely. No, it's all good stuff. And it looks like we are just on track for wrapping things up nicely on Dave
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Look at us.
I know. He's gonna be so proud of us.
He better be.
the
I better see a nice bonus in my weekly check that he
the
cuts.
wicked the wicked Spursy royalty check.
Exactly.
God damn. We better get on payroll then.
Yeah, we'll send a message and try to keep it civil. But what do we got for closing thoughts, Mike?
My closing thoughts are going to be short this week. We are approaching the end run of this season, and with that, I just want to talk about our local club, Vermont Green. They just announced their first returning player for this year,
Musa.
Musa Ndiaye, and talk about a center back with pace. Talk about a center back that is strong and puts in the tackle and puts in the work, can play the midfield, play defensive midfield if he has to. Um, he could play up on high line. He's super tall. He can jump. Like the guy does it all. And for my money, he was at the end of the season last year for me was my MVP. Even though I did have like a little love affair with Zach Zenge. Like love the way that kid scores, and he's playing, working hard for Columbus Crew right now. So, but Musa has just been announced as our first returning player, and we're coming up into March. March 19th, I think, is going to be the date that Vermont Green will play in the U.S. Open Cup. Uh, um, which is quite the feat, given that Vermont Green has been in existence for about 2 years, going into
Yep.
our third season. So that's quite the feat for an amateur team. Um, hoping to get, I'm hoping to talk to Patrick, one of the owners, and find out if we can get a beat on whether we're going to have a home game or not, which would be amazing and which would be super fun. It would also be super fucking cold. Um,
Absolutely.
but Virtue Field will be rocking and the flares will be out. So I'm just looking forward to that. And I cannot wait. And I think that the announcement of Moose, I know they have their lineup probably already built, or their team already built, but just the announcement of Musa is such a relief, and it sets the tone for more big player announcements in the coming days and weeks.
Nice, nice. For me, I want to shine a spotlight on a different Premier League club that I've been enjoying off to the side. Somebody who's not threatening Spurs at all, but who I'm still rooting for other selfish reasons, and that's Luton Town.
Hey,
Uh, for two reasons mainly. Number one, I'm a big fan of the orange kit. I think it looks really nice, and we don't see a lot of orange. It's always
I
go
do
to the
every single
white, the
week.
blue, the red. It's no, give me that orange. That's a really solid kit color. Love to see it in the league. But selfishly, I just want Everton to go down. I do. And so looking at the table, Luton in 17th, right above Everton. They still have a game in hand too, which is nice. But fuck man, if they can keep Everton in the bottom three and stay in the league, I would be happy. I would take Luton over Nottingham Forest as well. Um, but looking at the bottom of the table at all the clubs that are potential relegation candidates, I really hope they're the ones that get to stay up because they're fun to watch. They've got a solid looking kit and they're not Everton, so let's see more Luton Town in the Premier League.
You know what Luton Town doesn't do? They don't take any shit either. They go out there and they play their game. It's kind of fun to watch. Um,
I
I
still
don't
think
know.
back.
I still don't know if I can get on board.
You see,
But
the thing that I enjoy about it is you get these. Remember back when we played them and we won like 1-0, and people were like, "Oh, Spurs, you could only bottom of the table, Luton Town, you could only win 1-0." And then Luton Town made just about every single one of those fans eat their fucking words. I love it. Their fucking goal fest that they had the other day versus Newcastle 4-4. They beat Brighton 4-0. That was a fucking amazing game to watch. They're just a fun team. And as of right now, I just don't have any problems with them. So let's keep Luton Town. If you're, looking for an underdog in the relegation race and you want to see if you can, support a team that's vying to stay in the league, why not Luton? Send
Yeah.
Everton back to fucking,
Don't let it be Forest or Bright or a Brentford or fucking like, you know
yeah,
what?
Forest time's done too. They
I mean,
were
fuck Sheffield
novel.
United. Fuck Sheffield United. I'd like them to go down and
Yeah,
stay
they
down
they
forever,
look like
but
they're fucked. Burnley look like they're fucked. I think
it's a
not
yeah.
it's between Everton, Forest, Brentford, Luton, possibly Crystal
Manchester City.
Palace.
Manchester City.
Yeah, if they get points deductions for all those counts, that would certainly be fun. But yeah, no, I got to give it to Luton. They've been a lot of fun to watch in the relegation race, and I'm pulling for them to survive, especially if
when
it means Everton going down.
when asked about their entrance, their Oak Road entrance, that legendary entrance, the about having Manchester City and Erling Haaland going through that entrance. Um, the owner said, no, Erling Haaland's not going to go through that shit entrance. He's going to go through our other shit entrance.
How can you
So
not get on board with that?
yeah, no kidding, no kidding. So
Much
with
better than
that,
the blood money Saudis or the Todd Bowleys of the world.
that's correct. That's correct.
So with that, why don't you
Steve,
close?
Steve, do you have anything you got to say to the people out there?
Absolutely, I do. Coys, 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 coys.
And
Don't be an asshole. Mike, do you have anything that you would like to share with our loyal listeners?
loyal listeners, I just want you to go out there, tread lightly, and be safe.
And
Oh yeah, Tottenham Hotspur action. It's